You're listening to the Sacred Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Cara, aka the Sacred Mama. I'm a mindset and relationship coach, helping mothers nurture the relationship between themselves, their spouse, and their children. This is also sometimes inside of a co-parenting relationship. This podcast was designed specifically for mothers, stepmothers, and soon-to-be mothers to come together and truly support one another, to have the real, raw, honest, unfiltered, and soulful conversations about the realities of motherhood. My goal is for mothers to reclaim their self-worth and reclaim their self-identity while navigating motherhood. It's time you treated yourself as a priority because most of all, you matter. I believe that you can have the thriving family life. I believe that you can have the booming business. And I believe that you can have the passionate and abundant relationship. Most of all, I believe you can fully love yourself in the now without sacrifice. Throughout this podcast, you'll gain access to the minds of industry leaders and of course solo episodes by yours truly. So, let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Mama Podcast. So today I'm actually going to be diving into a topic that someone requested, if I could speak today. And this really has to do with tapping into, our feminine energy as a mom, because, our mothering energy is very much of a masculine energy. And so if you're not very familiar with, your masculine and your masculine energy, really to just kind of sum things up, is very much of like your doing energy. So the constant, like for example, your hustle energy. And your feminine energy is the relaxation, the flow. It's that ebb, it's the release, it's the receiving energy. And so I first want to point out, because this is a powerful topic for moms, is that a lot of the time we get very stuck in our masculine, and a lot of the time that's because motherhood is a very doing energy. We're constantly doing, being, having to be present, showing up for our kids, taking them here, taking them there. And sometimes we forget to tap into, our receiving energy and this feminine energy. And, I want to point out that actually something that's really beautiful and something that some women don't realize when they're pregnant is the whole act of creating a human and also birthing a human has to do with a very feminine goddess energy. And it is this life force that we have within us. And, I want to ask you, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback. You guys can email me, my email's in the show notes there. But I want to ask you, when you were pregnant, what feelings did you have? Sometimes we have the morning sickness and we feel tired, but there is a point during pregnancy where we have a lot of energy, a lot of flow, a lot of creativity that happens. And that is like your divine feminine that you are tapping into, this beautiful feminine energy that we all have inside of us. And so I also want to point out that you guys can probably hear my little man in the background. He is like Energizer Bunny back here. And I'm being a mom in business and I'm recording these episodes. And, I believe that this is a huge part of why I am creating this podcast, and is because I want to have my family around. I want my business. Oh, excuse you, bud. I want my business and my family life to really correlate with one another. And so he could potentially interrupt us, and that's okay. But he literally is having the time of his life here, kicking his legs, doing his thing. So, anyways, you guys, so I want to give you some tips on really how to tap into your feminine energy as a mom. And they're very easy ways on doing this. And, I talk about this so much. This is something that, I work on with my clients, that I work on with myself, that I embody myself. And that is the relationship with myself. So this is the very first thing, is you need to check the relationship that you have with yourself. You need to ask yourself, how am I treating myself? What am I doing for myself? How am I responding to things? How do I actually feel? It's important that we ask ourselves those questions, and that we really revert back to, what are we doing? How are we doing it? And do we actually want to do it? And, how is our relationship with yourself? Really ask yourself that. See, he agrees too. Ask yourself that. The relationship that you have with yourself is crucial. And this has a massive impact into all facets of our life. So, whether that's your relationship, the relationship you have with your children, the relationship you have with your parents, this all correlates to the relationship that you have with yourself. And as a mom, it is so, so important that we self-prioritize and that, I'm not here for excuses. I'm not one that utilizes my children as an excuse. This is something I used to do. I don't do that. And if anything, I use them as a reason as to putting myself first, because when I put myself first, I show up stronger for them. I show up in a more relaxed state, a more calm mind. You know, but the biggest thing is that, the self-prioritization is that I'm creating this beautiful relationship with myself that I'm embodying, and therefore I am then attracting that back in. And ensuring that you have a strong relationship with yourself is so important, you guys. This is the first tip that I have for you. If you are looking to tap into your feminine energy, this ease and flow, this relaxation, this ability to receive, then you need to start working on the relationship that you have with yourself. And that just starts by self-prioritizing, and stop making excuses and stop telling yourself that you can't. Stop believing, society's expectation that you're supposed to do everything for your family before you do anything for yourself. Like, that is just a load of crap-a-mole. Let's just put it out there. And you deserve to be a priority, and the relationship with you comes first. So that is really like the first piece of the puzzle here. And I really want to know what your guys' feedback is on that. Like, do you have a positive relationship with yourself? How do you view yourself? Because this also correlates to, we as moms, we desire for our daughters, for example, or our sons, to have this confidence, to have this, to know that they're beautiful inside and out, to stand up for themselves. And how they learn those things is also by what we embody, but also the words that we speak, because our children don't only watch, they listen, and then they also respond and react themselves. And so it's very important to be mindful of how are we speaking to ourselves? How are we curating the relationship we have with ourselves? Because that relationship is going to correlate to the relationship that our children have with themselves. Okay? Now, the next thing is that it is important. Mindfulness is so, so important. Mindfulness is a very big topic, and that's probably, I'll dive much deeper into another podcast episode about mindfulness specifically, but for a brief overview of mindfulness is a lot of the time, 90% of our time, we're actually from our shoulders up. So if you think from where your shoulders are to the top of your head, this is where we end up spending most of our human experience. And why I say that is because most of the time we're talking to ourselves. That little voice inside your head that says, "Hey, yep, that's me," or "What voice are you talking about?" That's the voice that I'm talking about. The voice that either reasons with you or doesn't reason with you. The one that's constantly telling you or worrying you about what's going to happen next. And it's important that we actually become mindful of our body and have a human body experience, because when is the last time that you actually felt what it's like to have your pants on? And what it feels like to have them sitting on your waist? When was the last time that you felt what it was like to hold your child's hand? When was the last time that you were actually present and physical with your husband and received, the passion, the excitement, and the nurturement of that relationship? Like, when was the last time that you felt that? When was the last time that you felt, for example, as I'm sitting here, there's a blanket here. When's the last time that you actually felt that blanket? When's the last time that you put your hand on your chest and you felt your breath and you felt your chest going up and down? And being mindful of your body instead of being stuck in your mind. When we have the opportunity to take a few deep breaths and to sit down and to recenter ourselves and ground ourselves into our body, this is a feminine energy. This is so important. And I want to bring this up because has there ever been a moment in your life when you're driving and you get from one destination to the next and you question, how the heck did I get here so fast? Was I even paying attention? What was I doing? Oh my goodness, was I actually paying attention? And I'm sure everyone that is listening to this is going to respond and say yes. And so every time you catch yourself doing that, allow yourself to just focus on one thing. Focus on a pen that you have. Focus on the way that something sits on your pant leg. Focus on the way that you wiggle your toes. Focus on the way that, your breathing is. Focus in on your breathing. Become mindful. Hi, buddy. Mindful of your body, okay? And so what I want to ask, and I want to ask you this, is are you mindful of your body's movement? Are you mindful of, the way that your body feels? Do you take note of this? This is important. This is important. Like I said, I'll dive much deeper into another episode in potentially like a mindfulness exercise. But one that I could briefly give to you guys is a mindfulness exercise of, for example, go outside, or maybe in your home, you either have a pen or a rock and you hold it in your hand and you focus on that. You focus on the texture, you focus on the grooves, the bumps, the shape, how it feels in your hand, and you notice those things and it really takes you from in your mind to in your body to then actually having a human experience. And this is beautiful in tapping into, like I said, your feminine energy, because a lot of the time as a mom, we're responding, right? We're acting. And it's important that we learn to tap into that receiving energy, and mindfulness is key. Mindfulness is key. So the third thing that I want to briefly dive into is, and this is a big one, because a lot of the time society has taught us to suppress our emotions. Society has taught us that our emotions are not meant to be felt. They're meant to be, potentially unseen, unheard. And I call bullcrap on this, okay? Because your emotions are meant to be felt. They're meant to be honored. They're meant to be not necessarily always understood, because sometimes we don't always understand why we're feeling something, but we're meant to acknowledge our emotions, right? We're not meant to push them away. We're not meant to ignore them. We're meant to acknowledge our emotions. And so I encourage you to honor them. This also teaches our children that their emotions aren't something to be ashamed of. A lot of the time our children don't, their body responds, and like they emotionally respond to certain things that they cannot control or understand themselves. And it's important for them to know that it's okay to feel, that it's okay to honor if they're feeling exhausted, if they're feeling overwhelmed, if they're feeling tired, if they're feeling worried. Like it's important to acknowledge that, because there is something to be learned there, whether that's a boundary that needs to be put into place, whether that is just we need to retap into ourselves and, take a step back. But honoring our emotions is huge. If you're feeling happiness, if you're feeling gratitude, if you're feeling celebration, like those are very powerful receiving energies, feminine energies. And so getting into the power of celebrating absolutely everything is so much fun. And I mean down to everything. And celebrating things with your kids, but honor your emotions. You're human. You're meant to have a human experience. You're meant to feel. You're meant to feel anger, frustration. You're meant to feel happiness and joy. You're meant to feel it all. And there is a reason. And there's a reason for everything, and everything is meant to be felt. And I believe it is meant for you. If you're feeling that, there is something for you. And so honor the emotions that you're feeling. If you're feeling stressed, acknowledge it and figure out why. This acknowledgement is so huge. As a mom, I have suppressed my emotions before. This was something I used to do. This was something that really turned itself, like almost reared its ugly head, and it wasn't pretty until I started actually acknowledging why I was feeling a certain way, or why someone was doing something and why it bothered me and what boundary needed to be put into place. Like this, honoring your emotions is a big one, guys. And so I want to know, what emotions have you been pushing down? What emotions have you blocked? What emotions have left you feeling stagnant or, neglected? And, emotions are not a burden. Emotions are unique. They're beautiful. They're creative. And they are the energy that ebbs and flows. It really is. They're the energy that ebbs and flows. We're either feeling, we have these different energies inside of us, and it's important to acknowledge all of those, because if we don't, we're not actually fully enjoying that human experience. And so Let me know if, how you're enjoying this episode, what resonates with you the most. I would really love to know, out of these things that I'm talking about, which one stands out the most to you and which one that you are going to implement. And so please email me, please comment, please, put a comment in the show notes about, what you loved about this, a review. There we go. So the fourth one that I want to talk about is this one is standing up for yourself, taking a stance in what makes you happy, what excites you, what are your deepest desires, and go for it with every ounce of your being, and stop limiting yourself because of other people's beliefs of what is possible for you, and start believing in yourself and knowing that you are meant for more, and that those little nudges, those feelings of, oh, I'm meant to do this, I'm meant to do that, then do them. We are able to be much stronger for our children when we were actually serving ourselves, when we were operating from a space of, our deepest desires, when we're operating from a space of nurturement and taking care of ourselves. Okay. And so stand in your freaking power. You are this beautiful woman who is capable of adaptability and curiosity and imagination and creativity, and you're multidimensional. We live in this beautiful sensory world, and we live in this world full of, joys and laughter and adventure. And our feminine power and who we have always been, this energy that we have inside of us is meant to be tapped into. And that it's important that you actually tap into who you are, Like, who are you? Ask yourself, who am I? And when I ask you who you are, I'm not asking you like, oh, you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a wife, because those are hats that you wear. I'm asking you, are you happy? Are you calm? Are you collected? Are you resilient? Are you imaginative? Are you adventurous? Are you joyful? Are you, what's another one that I want to say? Are you powerful? Are you happy? Are you lovable? What are you? And who are you? Who are you at a core level? It's time to strip down all of what society has placed on you, or limiting beliefs that other people have placed on you, or that you've placed on yourself. And it's really time to get back home to you. And so there's also, before I wrap this episode up, you guys, is that there is a need for both masculine and feminine. There is a yin and a yang. There is, an up and down. There's a need for both. And I have a firm belief that, balance is something that we create ourselves. And it's an inner balance of, the doing and the receiving. It is really tapping into who we have always been and operating from the space of love, nurturement, curiosity, imagination, creativity, fearlessness, courage. And this can all be tapped into. Your feminine energy, this receiving energy, can all be tapped into by you just simply being yourself and having the awareness of what you're doing and how things are affecting you. The biggest thing, you guys, is that self-prioritization, is ensuring that you're doing things for yourself that allow you to fill up your cup, that allow you to feel re-energized and recalibrated. And so I really hope that these tips, this information is useful for you. And if you're wondering what is the first, maybe you're looking for some recommendations of things that you can start implementing. And what I would start implementing is a routine for yourself every day, whether it takes you 5 minutes or 30 minutes. It'd be something that is, time allotted to you. And something I do every morning is I drink my cup of coffee and I journal gratitude every single day. And I'm not talking just about simple gratitude. There's simple gratitude. I write down a minimum of 10 things every day that I'm grateful for, and I'm very descriptive of what those things are. And this really increases my vibration and just how I feel altogether as a woman. And another tip that I have for you is to move your body. is to get up and have a dance. This is not me telling you, oh, you have to go to the gym. This is me telling you to get up and dance and feel your body and feel the way that it moves, because that is also a way to tap into your feminine energy. It's this release of that stagnant energy. It's movement. It's moving things around, right? And so this is the information that I have for you today. This is the episode for today. And I really want to know your guys' thoughts. And so for those of you that are tuning in, those of you who are loving this, post a review, let me know. But I also want to let you guys know of something that was released last week, and that is the Reclamation of Motherhood Summit. So this is all happening inside of the Sacred Mama community. And so the link to register is in the show notes. So make sure you go register. If you're a mom, a stepmom, a soon-to-be mom, this is for you. This is all about the reclamation of motherhood, of who we are, our self-identity inside of motherhood, but also outside of motherhood. It's staking a claim on our wants, needs, desires. It's ditching the mom guilt. It's letting go of the stress. It's tapping into who we have always been. It's learning how to self-prioritize. And there's going to be 7 guest experts inside of this space. It is beautiful. It is expansive. All of the information is on my Facebook page. You can go take a look. It's also inside of the community. And so, like I said, make sure you register. This is completely free. There's going to be tons of giveaways. Also, when you register, on the day that it begins, so it begins February 10th to February 16th. And when you register on February 10th, you will receive 7 exclusive freebies from the guest speakers themselves. And let me tell you, these mamas delivered, and they have some powerful, powerful content for you. These conversations are going to impact you in ways that will leave you in awe. And so I am very excited to connect with you all further. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you email me, you message me on Facebook, somehow connect with me so that I can connect with you further and put a face to the name to those who are listening to this podcast. And let me know of some topics that you would love to hear on the podcast itself. So stay tuned. I have some incredible interviews coming your way. I also have some incredible solo episodes for you. So I adore you all. Thank you for being here. And from one moment to another, I'm wishing you the most beautiful day. Okay. Bye, guys.